Hi everyone, Danielle here. I am doing an overview of Gnome Hollow, so you'll be able to learn how to set up the game and the gist of how to play once you're done watching this video. A special thank you to the Op Games for sending me a copy of this game to cover on my channel. And yeah, I think we'll get started. So setup starts with identifying the boards you will need. And the rulebook has a really good picture, but you will definitely need this board, which will house all of the garden tiles. So you'll want to set this aside. And then you're also going to want to use this as well. So this will be a pinwheel board, and this is where the market will be. So that's what this looks like, so set that aside as well. And depending on your player count, you're going to want to grab one of the 4 for each player. So there's 4 different colors, so just pick one. There is another side, which is I guess the advanced variant. I will be showcasing the regular normal side. In this case, I'll be setting up for a 2-player game, so I'll just grab these 2 colors. So this is Gourd and Peanut and Sour Jack and Sweet Jane boards. So set those aside and put the other boards away into the box. There is a variant where you will use this board, but I will not be discussing that in this video. And then lastly, this board will go into the center of the table. So it's entirely up to you how you want to lay things out. I'm just laying it out so that you can see everything I just spoke about. And once you've punched out everything that comes in the punch boards, you would have placed all of the garden tiles that look like this, they're double-sided, into this bag. So this is your draw bag for the tiles. So set that aside. I'm gonna put it up here for now. And then you're going to have had 4 of these punched out. These are reference cards, or they're kind of like on boards, so reference boards, I guess. They have the turn sequence on one side and the symbol guide on the other. So each player will get one. After that, you might want to set up the players. So you'll want to grab the gnomes. So we'll grab 2 gnomes for the blue player, and then 2 for the green player. They look like this, and I think they are just super cute. I really love the design of them. And then you're gonna want to grab each of the colored markers, which look like these cylinders, and they have a magnetic side, which I think is one of the best types of components you could have in a game. So you're going to place them on the top of these boards. So now that we have all of that set up for both players, I do want to grab some tiles from the bag. So you're going to randomly draw 2 more tiles per player. So in the 2-player game, you're going to randomly draw 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you're going to put them kind of off to the side, and you're going to place this sunset tile on top of it. And you'll notice that that will be used when the end game is triggered. That's how that would look. Alright, and you can choose to leave all of the mushrooms and the treasure tokens. So these are the mushrooms here. They look like this. I basically just leave them in the box, but you could feel free to create piles on the table. So these are your treasures and essentially victory points. Next, we'll look at the signposts. You're going to just take them out and put them near the garden tile board. So just put them out somewhere reachable, because you'll be able to add these to your paths at some point in the game. Alright, so next step is adding these square tokens to these sections of the board. And you're going to want to just have it color coded. They each match each of the mushrooms. So go ahead and do that. So in a 2-player game, you have to remove one of each color except purple. So we'll go ahead and remove one of each and put it back in the box. The next thing we'll do is the flower tokens. So you're gonna notice that there were some of these wildflower tokens, and there's a total of 6. And what we have to do first before placing these out is pick at random 2 colors of these flower tokens. Oops. So all of these have a colors. It might be easier to tell from the back if you're not sure, but also the flowers are, you know, pretty apparent too with the flower pot. So you're gonna randomly just choose 2 of them. I'm just gonna close my eyes and choose 2. We have a blue, and we have this purple. We'll go ahead and grab the rest of those. And we're going to grab 1 flower per player here. So there's going to be 2 players in this setup. So we're going to grab 2. And we're going to place them at the top of this board in a pile. So we have 2 of those blue ones and 2 of these purple ones. And pull this down just a little bit so you can see. And then the remaining colors will have a wildflower token available in the game. So we're going to exclude these 2 tiles from the setup, and the rest of these tiles will be placed out. So just for example, we will just place them out like this so that you can see what they look like. We have 6 tiles, and then we grab 2 of each color and we just put them right on top of the corresponding plants. Again, 1 for each player. Okay. And then the rest of these flower pots will be left in the box. And now you just determine who the first player is, and you'll give them the gnome hat. So the first player will have the gnome hat, and I'll just give it to the blue player. And that is set up. Again, you can leave these mushrooms in here or just take them out as needed. As part of the example, I'll just put a few here. Put a few of the treasure tokens out as well. But of course, you would have everything available to you when you play your game. Alright, now heading into the gameplay overview. There are 3 steps when you're playing the game. The first step is that you place tiles. So you're going to be choosing 2 tiles from this tile board and placing it around this stump. So we need to actually complete setup and draw at random 8 tiles and place them into each of these cleared areas of that board. All right. So as a demonstration of what choosing tiles to place would look like, let's say that I choose as the green player this tile. If I were to place this tile, I have to pay attention to the paths. The paths on this tile and also the paths on any existing tile, including the stump tile. So, as placement rules, it has to attach or connect to another path. So this would be a valid placement. If I did this, that would not be a valid placement because it leads one path to a dead end, and then the path on the tile itself is also in a dead end. I can't put it here because although this does attach to this path is now at a dead end, and that's not legal to play. So for just an example, I'll place this tile here. And then as a second tile, I'll decide to place it here. So after that, you're going to want to resolve. So you happened to complete a whole, let's see if I can just do an example here. If I were to complete a path for example's sake, these would be the tiles I use. And say I had a gnome already on this path, meaning I had claimed it on a previous turn. Then I'd be able to claim this path, complete it, and gain the mushrooms that are on the path. So right now, the path consists of this pink mushroom and a blue mushroom. So I'd be able to gain each of those mushrooms from the supply. So that's how that works. So you really do have to think about which tiles you are grabbing and placing, because the color of the mushrooms on those tiles matter. And in addition, the number of tiles used to create that path is also how you decide where you place your markers. So let's take a closer look as to what that might look like. So say I use 3 tiles to complete a path. I take the leftmost marker and I look at these numbered hexes. In my example just now, I had 3 tiles. So I would be able to place this marker under the 3 tile column right here. On a future turn, if I happen to have 7 or more tiles involved, I'd be able to choose the leftmost marker on my board and choose to place it in any of these rows. If I chose a row that has 2, I get to place 2. So I'm using up 2 of my markers. And you'll notice there are symbols to the right of some of these, starting with the 5. So when that happens, you carry out those abilities. And those abilities are mentioned here on the symbol guide. So we have the top one being treasure points. And then we have on the player board, that's the number in the middle of the symbol that indicates the number of tiles of completed ring. And then this tells you how many mushrooms you can harvest. This says player takes any tile from the garden tile board and stores it. This says player adds any 1 flower token they do not have from the flower market to their player board. Player adds a new signpost to the ring just completed and uses the action immediately, or use the action of a signpost already in the garden gnome without moving. And then this one means player receives a wildflower tile to store for a future turn and earns 1 flower token from it. And the remaining flower tokens go to the flower market. So you'll definitely see these symbols on your board, and you'll follow through on what those actions are. So say you've completed 2 rings, and now we have this icon open. That means you'll complete the wildflower tile action. So the market for the flowers are up here. These are the tokens you can grab if you actually use this icon. So I wouldn't be able to take a flower from these wildflower tokens. I'd only be able to grab a blue or a purple one from here. However, if I have this wildflower icon, that means I get to pick one of the flowers here to add to my board. And in this example, I will grab a pink one. And whenever you add a flower token to your board, you just slot it from left to right. And then the other one goes into the market, making it available to the other player to choose from. And then the green player would gain this tile in its storage. Something to note is when you're choosing tiles to play, you get to pick 2 from the board. You have to pick 2. But in addition, you can also play up to 2 tiles from your storage. So if you have 1 stored, you can play a total of 3 if you wanted to. It's optional. All right. So I'll also talk about some of the things you need to do on your turn once you've completed your placement of the tiles, resolving any completion of your paths, which includes gaining mushrooms, the ring marker bonuses, which are these that I had explained, and then any effects that happen afterwards. Lastly, you would have to move your gnome. So let's see, let's build back that example. I think we'll just do this for example's sake. do this. And this will be a completed ring and say that I had my gnome on it already. So this example would be if you're kind of mid-game and you've claimed this and you've completed your ring. You can decide to move to a couple of different places. You could move to another path. So I might want to reserve this path. Or I could collect a flower. So I just kind of, you know, go here, collect a flower from the market, from one of these. And when you collect a flower, it has to be unique. You cannot choose a flower you already have on your board. And then, lastly, you can access a signpost. Actually, there is one more thing after the signpost. So you could access a signpost. Say somebody had a signpost somewhere on their paths. Just pretend this is completed. You could visit the signpost, put your gnome in the middle of that path, and you'll gain whatever the signpost is. So this would be 3 of the yellow mushrooms. And then the final one you can use is the stump. So you can come here to the pinwheel, put your gnome here, and then you can sell to the market. You can sell up to 2 sets of different mushrooms. So you could sell 5 yellow mushrooms and 7 red ones. And then you'll look at this table and you'll gain how many points or treasure points that is listed on this table. So say this was my pool. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mushrooms. So I decide to sell 5. I come up here to the table. That's 5 mushrooms. And I look at the color of the mushroom. And it's this one, the red one. So I would get 4 points. So I would gain maybe these 2 types of treasures, that total of 4. And then I'd place a marker there. There is a limit to these markers. So if we were to sell 4 of them between the 2 players, moving forward, any additional that is sold would just be 1 point. So that's something to note there. So I just want to clarify that this column is always available. That's what that infinity symbol means. So you're always able to sell your mushrooms by color, by pairs. So you have 2, at least 2 of one of the colors, then you'll be able to sell it for that much at any time. So if you do run out of, you know, these tokens here that marks where things have been sold, you can still always sell in pairs. So that's a really quick overview into how Gnome Hollow plays. I definitely didn't explain every minute rule. Definitely reference the rulebook. I think the rulebook is really, really neat. Also I want to show you guys how they kind of tell you more about the different types of mushrooms and flowers that they use for the components. So I always love the addition of things like that outside of the rule book. But yeah, overall, a very, very fun, competitive game. I'd say that this is probably one of my favorite games to play right now. I've been playing a lot of it on Boardgame Arena, and also played it one time in person, and that was a blast as well. I'd say the setup takes a little bit, but you know, it is worth it when you get into the game. The game moves, I think, pretty fast. Hopefully people don't have analysis paralysis. There's also an aspect that I find is really interesting to the game, where if you're trying to create a path and the path impacts another player's current path that was claimed already, they actually have to approve that placement. So you can't just place it wherever you want. If it attaches and impacts another path that somebody else is a part of, then that other person has to say yes or no to that tile being placed. Something else to note is that you can't actually place a tile that creates a path that connects a path of another player's. So you have to make sure that you're never interjecting or sharing a path with anybody. That's not allowed in the game. And these wildflower tokens, these will definitely help you claim paths a little bit, complete your rings a little bit faster. So it's always a a pretty important thing to get these tiles whenever you can. And obviously that's usually when you get these icons revealed as you complete your rings. You'll be uncovering those icons. All right. Well, if you have any questions about this gameplay, let me know. Again, this isn't an all-encompassing how to play video. It's an overview to give you an idea of kind of what goes on in the game. There's a lot of I feel like it's worker placement. I don't know if it's specifically called that as a game mechanic on BoardGameGeek.com, but you're kind of placing the workers out. You're placing your gnomes out to do what you want them to do, like going to the market, selling, going to signposts. So you have 2 workers essentially, or 2 gnomes that you can use to claim paths or make money for you essentially. And then there's the aspect of tile placement, of course, which is creating your completed paths or rings. And then there's like an economic aspect to it where you're selling. And so it's pretty fun. And also the set collection, because you're collecting flowers that are unique. So again, as I mentioned before, when you collect your flowers, you place them at the top. And then you score based off of the rightmost flower pot that is covered or has a flower on it. So if I had flower pots and everything up to here, I would score 20 points at the end of the game. So that's pretty neat. But again, each of the flowers you collect have to be different. So yeah, very, very interesting game. I actually feel like I have never played a game like this before, and it's just refreshing. And the components, I really love the components. It's very thoughtful and playful and right on theme. I really like it. Alright, well that's enough of me rambling about how much I like Gnome Hollow. Another special thank you to the DaniCha Games. Definitely will enjoy playing this more with my friends and family. And who knows, maybe there will be a solo mode to showcase at some point on my channel. Alright, as always, I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.